Real estate investors, are you new or struggling and trying to figure out better ways to close more deals? You're in the right place. Each week, I pick a random house off the internet, analyze it for a cash deal and a creative deal. When I started this podcast, my goal was simple. It was to help beginners and struggling investors close their first deal or their next deal, all while using low to no cost tools to analyze property and craft strong offers. Welcome to the Corner Barn. I am Chris Thompson, that bearded guy, the creative guy, second generation investor and realtor with 19 years in the business. This is the weekly deal analysis. Let's get into the show. Before we jump in, if you make it through even just a little bit of this and you find some value in it, hit that like button for me because it tells the algorithms to spread it out to more people. So hopefully I can help them as well. This week in the Corner Barn, we are going to analyze 5402 Arlene Street in Wichita, Kansas, and the zip code there is 67220. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,700 square feet, and they're asking $230,000. I can tell just by looking at this that that is not the right price because 325 days on the market, there's got to be something seriously wrong with this place, or it's really just overpriced. So let's start with the pictures and see where that takes us. So it's a split level. Can't tell if it's a 3 or 4 level split, but overall pretty clean. And so we've got looks like a dining room, a kitchen, and a living room. Living room, kitchen, pretty basic. There's a bedroom. That has the vanity in it. Then I guess the shower is a separate part. Really, really dated. Another room here. And this is probably the basement here. Yeah, that's definitely the basement. Looks like they've had some patches on the ceiling as well, probably from water leaks, if I had to guess. More in the basement. Laundry. They do have a sump pit there, so there's your sump pump. And a water softener, I think. And they do have a nice deck coming off the back. Pretty clean house. It's just dated. Nice yard, fenced in, flat. So I think that's all we can see from the pictures. So let's break down a little bit deeper and see what else we can find. This agent's not telling us anything useful about this. Mm, all right, so there is I don't quite follow that. Values, core logic is saying 235, Quantarium 232. So they're pretty much in line with what those are saying. Median list price, a lot higher than we're at. Medium sold price is right where this one's sitting in 60 days. That clearly has not happened. 220, same street. Let's take a look. This is a sale or no, this is for sale. Very similar specs on everything. Oh goodness, 275 days. All right, so we know it's going to be below 220 at least. What can we find in here that may help us? Anything? Here's another one on the same street. Off market, not really telling me much. See if I can find some. This must be a non-disclosure state. This sold in 2021, so it's really not helpful. All right, we are going to use the WAG method to figure out what our ARV is on this thing. And if you're not familiar what the WAG method is, it is called a wild ass guess. Um, I didn't come up with it, but that's the that's the formula we're going to use on this. See what else we can find on here. Because being that it's a non-disclosure state, I don't have access to a lot of the stuff that I would need to be able to comp this. So they listed in April of last year, almost a year ago at the time of this recording, for 235 at a price drop in October. So they're really not motivated and they seem to be really stuck on that price. Where's property tax? They seem reasonable, nothing crazy. And what do we got for rents here? Oh, here's our solds. Anything actually sold or pending? It's just a bunch of stuff active on the market. Not giving us anything there. Is there anything sold under contract? Could also be a saturated market. And it looks like a lot of new construction stuff are a very similar price and bigger. Well, more bedrooms. I don't know if it's actually bigger or not. All right, what about rents? Can we find something on rents? Nothing. They're all apartments. I need a house. Where's my house rent? All right, well, that's not giving us anything either. So we're going to definitely stick with the WAG method on a price for this thing. And I'm going to say our ARV or after repair value is going to be 200,000. All right, now we're going to jump over to the Invest Nest and break down a cash deal. So I've got it pulled up here on the Invest Nest. They're even saying the estimated value is right where they're listed at. So I don't know. All right, so this is saying rent at a potential of 1230. And skip tracing, they do include this if you want to check it out. There's a link in the description below with my code link, whatever you want to call it. That'll get you your first week for free and 50% off your first month. Test it out, try it out. They don't charge extra for skip tracing. It's part of their monthly price. See, no mortgage. All right, so this will be perfect for a seller finance deal. And not telling us enough there because it's a non-disclosure state. All right. So we're just going to call this the property address. And our purchase price. So if we are doing a cash deal, we're going to offer 70% of ARV after repair value, which we said was 200,000. So that, I can't do math in my head, sorry. It's sad, I know. 200 times 70% give us an offer price of $140,000. Now, I do think this thing's going to need some upgrades. So we haven't done this one in a while, but on a cash price, it's 70% of ARV minus repairs. I think to get this place cleaned up and updated quite a bit, we're going to spend probably at least, I don't know, $20,000. Does that seem about fair? So we're going to knock another $20,000 off of this. So our cash price is going to be $120,000. Closing costs, we're going to offer to pay both sides, so that's going to be roughly 4 points. Our lender points they're going to charge us about 2 points, whether we're using a traditional loan or an investor DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio loan. And that's basically just how the lender gets paid, really. Improvements, we said we're going to be 20,000. And I want to roll them into my loan. I plan to put 25% down, but I want to kick it out to 30 years. Rates, let's do 6.5. Nah, 6.6 3/4. How about that? Yes, save. All right, rental prices, they're saying 1230, and I have Rentometer pulled up here. I'll leave a link for all the sites that I use down in the description below. They're saying an average for the area of a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath or more in the last 12 months within a 2-mile radius is 1660. Pretty good. That's the average, the median 1625. And also we're going to check with HUD or Section 8. They are saying 1,300 on this. So we've got numbers all over the place. So HUD is saying 13. The InvestNest is saying 1230, and Rentometer is saying 1625, but the lower percentage is 1460. So that's roughly about the middle for all of the numbers that we were looking at. So we're going to plug this number in and go from there. But always check with a local realtor or property manager. So 1460 is what we're going to say we're looking at in rent. And property tax, that looks in line with what this was saying. $22.99. We're going to kick this up just a hair to 2,300. And insurance, I like to factor in $125 a month, which is just $1,500 a year. Our property manager is going to cost us 10%. Tenant's going to be paying all the utilities, so we're not factoring any of that stuff in. And our reserve fund, I call it my war chest because every time I have an issue with a property, I got to be ready to go to war. So that's 5% for repairs and maintenance, vacancy, and capital expenditures. That's going to be your big ticket repair items like your roof or your HVAC. So 15% off the top every single month. I love that the InvestNest does this because it just makes the calculations work so much better. Our property appreciation rate, we're going to factor 2%. Rents, I like to increase them by 2.5% per year. We'll plan to hold this for 10 years, and we are real estate investors. We don't pay full commissions. Kick that down to 5%. All right, let's see what these numbers look like. You were looking to see if it cash flowed. I know, we're going to get to that. But if you've made it this far in the video and you haven't hit that like button, please do so now. And if you think somebody else might find this information valuable as well, share it with them. I appreciate you. Cash flow positive. Not a great deal. You're under $100 a month in cash flow, and that's almost $42,000 out of pocket. Down payment is 35. Then we got all the fees on top of that. And what else we got here? Cap rate is almost 8%. DSCR, it's a little skinny. A lot of times those lenders like to see at least a 1.2, 1.25. Cash on cash return is pretty low. It's not even a full 3%. Your return on investment, though, over that 10 years is pretty darn good. So it's almost 12% return on investment. If you follow the 1% rule, this hits. And here's all of our number breakdown. So we're operating expenses, 462, reserve, 219. Breaks all of our numbers down. Another thing they do, they roll this stuff in. So it's a 10%, almost a 10% cash on cash at 10 years, but it's kind of skinny on the first couple of years. And that's with a rent increase over those years as well. Oof, equity. Yeah, I don't like this one. 10. So you're roughly at about 8 years, 7, 8 years before you get your original capital back on this because the rents are so low. So for me, not a deal on a cash side. Now we're going to do my favorite part and analyze the creative side. This is my creative calculator. You can get it off my website, christhompsonteam.com. Link will be below. ARV we said was going to be 200,000, and that's after repair value. And our purchase price on a creative deal, I think we're going to try, we might have to try a couple different things here, but hear me out, call me crazy, but they're asking 230. So we're going to see if we can't make these numbers work. So they want 230, but I'm going to give them 0% interest. And to figure out our PITI, or principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, I'm going to jump over to Bankrate. So our home price is 230, and I only want to put down 5%. See if I can get away with that. Our interest rate we said was 0. Zip code 67220. And our insurance we said 125. And then property tax, we'll go 192. 192. And let's see what we got. $924 a month for principal, interest, taxes, and homeowners insurance. Plug that back in to 924. And our potential rents, we said were what? 1460? Yes, 1460. 1460. Boom. We gave them their price. And we're cash flowing a whole heck of a lot more because of that 0 interest. So that's a gross cash flow of 536, war chest 219, management 146, and our net cash flow is 171. So our cash to the seller, that's going to be that down payment, which we said was 11,500. Commissions, they're not doing anything. Let's try to throw 500 bucks at them and make them go away. We are not working with a wholesaler, so there is no assignment fee. Closing cost is that 4%, same as we did on the cash seal. Renovations, we said we're going to be about 20,000. And 2 months of holding is that mortgage payment, that PITI. That's just 2 months of that. There are no arrears, and a good TC or transaction coordinator will cost you about 1,500 bucks. So still not a great ROI on this thing. So cash up front, you're at 43,000, a little over 43,000. And then on the cash deal, you're at 42,000. So it's actually more cash out of pocket doing it this way. So I don't know, maybe let's see if we can't play with this a little bit more. Let's do our purchase price of 200. You know what? Let's get it even a little crazier. Do 180. But we'll say 2%. 2%. Now let's go rerun those numbers. 180. 5%. 2. It really didn't change anything, did it? 968 or 967. So that payment actually went up. So that number won't work either. Well, at these rates, you're at 22, a little over 21 years to get your capital back. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? That is our analysis of 5402 Arlene Street in Wichita, Kansas. Okay, cash deal, a lot of cash up front, and the cash flow on the creative deal worked pretty well, but it was too much cash up to do the renovations. And we played with the numbers a little bit. You can keep playing with them, download the calculator. It's free on my website and just check it out, play with the different numbers and see what you can come up with. That does it here for us on this episode of the weekly deal analysis in the corner barn. I am Chris Thompson, that bearded guy, the creative guy. We will see you next week.